Wilson. I want to thank you for coming this afternoon. I would like to introduce you to Julia Trigg Crawford. Ms. Crawford is a resident of Lamar County living near Paris, Texas. She lives on a multi-generational property that's been in her family since 1948. Ms. Crawford is currently challenging TransCanada's right to common carrier status and eminent domain on her property. I also want to introduce you to two women who represent a growing coalition of groups across Texas who are calling for the Texas House of Representatives Land and Resource Management Committee to hold hearings on what we believe are eminent domain abuses involved with the Keystone XL Pipeline in Texas. This is Linda Curtis, the Director of Independent Texans. Among other things, Independent Texans played a critical role in coordination of the coalition that defeated the Trans-Texas Corridor. Next, we have Jessica Ellison, is a leading member of Texans for Accountable Government, a group which is focused on government reform and civil liberties. Once again, thank you for coming today.
Part of the excitement for me is to have people just to listen to this story, because until people really hear what's going on, there's this illusion that, oh, the president denied the permit, TransCanada went away. Well, they haven't gone away. So kind of here's my story. At least the farm has been in my family for since 1948. We're farmers and ranchers. We have water rights to the creek that runs along the west side of our property, Bodart Creek. That's spelled B-O-I-S-D''ARC. And in 2007, when TransCanada first appeared, like several other pipelines in the area, they started talking to landowners saying, hey, will you sign a lease? We'll give you X amount per acre, and we're going to put a crude oil pipeline through. Well, there's several other pipelines in the area, so no one really questioned, or started asking odd questions about where is it coming from, what's in it, what's your safety record, things like that. So my dad just kind of bobbed along with them for 2 or 3 years, and every year they'd come back with a little bit higher price. And then I came along a year and a half ago as farm manager and started doing a little bit of research. And once you peel back what this thing really is and what it's doing to get it out of the earth and what the corrosive nature of it, it's not your mom's everyday crude oil pipeline. That's a misrepresentation, I believe, on their part, just to say it's a crude oil pipeline. Little things. Crude oil floats, bitumen sinks. Crude oil, this bitumen is being pumped at incredibly high pressures, diluted with all kinds of bad stuff. The pipe itself is 140 degrees on the outside because of so much pressure on the pipe, the friction. Anyway, I'm just looking for someone, and y'all are those people, to hear the story, because our land was condemned, and until you really understand how it happens in the timeline, it's hard to understand that a landowner, by the time a landowner finds out their land has been condemned, it's a fait accompli. Here's the timeline. We talked to TransCanada for 2 or 3 years, starts getting hot and heavy middle of summer. August the 26th, we get a letter, and it's the first time the word eminent domain was used. Basically, we can take your land through eminent domain. Then they went radio silent. Along comes October the 11th. We're looking at August the 26th through October the 11th. On October the 11th, we're served with papers that said, on August the 31st, your local judge allowed your land to be condemned, and 3 local citizens were appointed to decide how much you should get for it. You're welcome to show up at that meeting. That's how it happened. So, it's a process that does not even allow the landowner to be involved in that process. So the reason I'm pushing back is I don't believe that the process should be that one-sided, and we actually filed an appeal to that condemnation. So we want TransCanada to have to prove they're a common carrier by there's several standards that they should have to meet, and we don't think they meet them. We're also pushing back that they have not fulfilled their obligation on a few fronts, like the Texas Antiquities Code involving the Caddo Indian artifacts on our place, and Texas Natural Resources Code with the list of products. And just kind of a scoop for you guys, about 2 weeks ago, we said we would sit down and talk with TransCanada. They wanted to settle out of court. And my attorney asked for a standstill agreement so that nothing would transpire while we were talking, because we had heard from another family in the county that TransCanada said they could start construction. Well, when we asked for a standstill agreement, TransCanada said, we'll agree to a standstill agreement, but not if it prohibits us from starting construction before March the 1st. What project are they going to start? And that went back and forth, a barrage of emails. So to protect our property, today we filed in Lamar County a temporary restraining order against TransCanada. We'll see where that goes. But that just happened a couple hours ago. But, you know, what I'm asking for is really just for people to fully understand the process and the inequities, that it is my responsibility as a landowner to make a company prove what they are. Why doesn't the state have the same checklist that they would require a hairdresser or a physician to have to prove before they claim that common carrier status? So luckily, the shining light is that in August, the Denbury Green ruling by the Texas Supreme Court gave a glimmer of hope to landowners, that just because a company checks that box on the Railroad Commission's T4 form, it doesn't mean they get all the rights therein, that there are more things they have to qualify for. So I appreciate you guys being here, and I'm open for questions, or I'll explain anything you want. But back over to you guys.
No.
Okay.
How many landowners are kind of in the same position? I talked to TransCanada today. They say that they've settled, reached agreement on most of these cases.
What number did they give you? Did they say 98% again?
What's that?
Did they say 98% again?
It's probably close to that. It was in the hundreds. I mean, it was something like 1,400, and they said there were only about 19 left.
I have no idea. I know in Lamar County alone there were 12 eminent domain cases, and mine is the only one that's outstanding. I know there's others south of me, you know, down through East Texas. They're 30-something, 80-something, I don't know. Someone has a number somewhere, and they've gone county by county to look at it.
Yeah, just to add to that, Deborah Medina has that number, and it's significantly more. And
I think she said 89.
She said,
yeah, I thought it was 80.
And they hadn't completed all the research yet, so you can reach Deborah. Her phone number is on the release in your packet.
So basically, just in short, what happens next?
It was mind-blowing to me 6 months ago when the same foreign, privately owned, for-profit company who was anticipating getting their permit was able to condemn. They were condemning land when they thought they were going to get the permit. They were denied the permit, and they're still being allowed. What's wrong with that? There's something horribly wrong with that. Horribly wrong with that.